Hi, I'm Kate Bendewald with Designers Oasis. Welcome back. Today we're going to learn about how to make a digital mood board using Canva, and I thought that for today's blog post that really a video was the best way to share this information. So I hope you enjoy it. First we're going to dive into a few examples of some past mood boards, and then we're going to show you how to collect the photos and the colors that you want to use for your mood board, and then finally hop into Canva and show you how to put it all together. First, a mood board is a really important first step in the design process. For me, it's just one little piece of the concept package that we deliver at the very early stages of design. I'm going to take a minute and pause and say there's some hammering going on in the background. We are mid-renovation right now, so I'm hoping that doesn't turn out to be too big of a distraction. But if you hear a little noise in the background, the show must go on. This is working from home in real life. So a mood board is a really important first step, as I mentioned, and I do a concept package within the first couple of weeks of a design process, and my concept design includes 4 key elements. One is the mood board, and it's essentially like the cover page, and it is delivered, the whole concept package is delivered via PDF, via email, and then we hop on the phone the following week after the client gets to look at it, and we get some feedback on the whole thing. So the concept package for me includes the mood board, a preliminary budget, a preliminary floor plan, as well as showing them some of our big picture ideas, some broad stroke design concepts, showing them kind of the direction that we're heading and to get some feedback on all of that. And the mood board is going to really set the tone for the project, the color palette, the vibe, the feel, and this is going to let the client give us some really concrete feedback and say, yes, Kate, you're headed in the right direction. We love it. Or they might say like, hey, I'm not super into like a couple of these colors. Can we tweak it a little bit? This is really important to get this kind of feedback at this stage so that once you move into this part where you're actually sourcing products, materials, fabrics, you know you're sticking to something that the client's really going to love. All right, here we go. Let's dive in. Okay, so here we are, and I want to just show you a few examples of some mood boards that I've done for past clients. I think the thing to remember here when you're making mood boards is I really recommend that you don't just put a collage of interior photos, because to me that feels more like borrowing other people's designs versus coming up with your own creation. So I want you to focus on sure, bringing in some interior photos. You're certainly going to see plenty throughout the next couple of slides, but I also want you to really be thinking about lifestyle, travel, fashion, texture, pattern, color, all of these different design elements that are going to collectively put together a mood. So as I go through here, you'll certainly see pictures of interiors, but that's not all that's there. I think that design details are super important to include in your mood board. So let's just take a look at a few examples. So this one was for a mountain home, and it was a small cabin, but they wanted a super modern feel. And so here on the left, you'll see our color palette, and then on the right, you've got sort of that moody winter ski lodge vibe. Here's, I think, a great example of how you can see you can take this same template and create entirely different looks and moods. By the way, I do have a Canva template that I'm providing for you today as a free download, so you can take and tweak that for yourself. Here was a home that actually just got finished being photographed. We're excited to share this, but again, color palette. One option that you can do, if you look back on this first one, every square here has equal priority, like every block is the same size, so there's no hierarchy in color, and that's okay to do. But if you want to show some more hierarchy, for example, there's not going to be a ton of this dark color here, but we want to show that it's a highlight color. So by allowing colors that are going to take up more space in the home to have more precedence here, you can start to create that hierarchy. Totally optional. I just wanted to point out the difference and that you can do that if you choose. Here on the right, we do have a photo of some getting together and eating together, family time. That was really important to our client. I think it's important to note that I don't make mood boards until after I've had a chance to really get to know my client. So at this point, I've already had a one-on-one consultation. I've most likely done a deep dive conversation, which is really getting to know them a little bit deeper as far as what their family's into, what are they all about, what's their story, and that's going to start to help me determine the best way to put together these mood boards. I certainly wouldn't dive into this until I've done at least those two things. So I think that's important to point out. Again, this is an example of how you can get a completely different vibe using the same template, more or less. Here we're showing some really graphic architectural features. Textures are super important. The vibe overall here has just this kind of warm, bohemian, yet sophisticated, kind of elevated feel. This was for a couple that was expecting their first child. They were going through renovation. They had just moved from New York, and so we wanted to really capture that sort of New York feel, which we've done through the New York subway because that was a very special place for them. We were doing their kitchen, so I wanted to show some of the kitchen materials, which I've done through the marble, but by adding this cute little picture of a baby, it sort of brings some life to the mood board versus just a bunch of pictures of interiors. The feet sort of achieve that as well. So anytime you can put a hint of humans in there, I think that's always going to give your mood boards more life and make it more dynamic versus just interior shots or still shots. It starts to really help, I think, the clients put themselves into the design. The one thing I would avoid is putting actual people's faces. So here we're just having hints of people, like with the feet, with the baby. You can't really see the baby's face. So that's one tip that I would make sure you do, is don't put other people's faces in it, because it's kind of like real estate. When you're staging to show your home, the realtor will always tell you, like, take out family photos because you want the potential buyer to be able to see themselves in this home and have it feel like them. So same is true with the mood board. And finally, this was another kitchen that I've done. This was our mood board. We set the color tone and palette on the left. This client was from the south, so they really wanted a very southern kitchen. They also were big beach lovers. They didn't want it to scream beach, which I totally get, but we took hints of the beach and the ocean and implemented them in a more subtle way. And so taking really close macro shots are really nice touches in a mood board. Nature, I mean, this was taken from a food blog, but that little pop of yellow was really important and kind of came through in some of the accents in the kitchen when everything was said and done. Okay, so I hope this helps. Next, we're going to look at the best way to go about curating these photos, and also how to organize the colors and how to get the right colors that are best for you and your design. All right, so now we're going to dive into how to go about collecting photos as well as colors for your mood board. Now, I recommend that you start a Pinterest board where you can save and collect a curated mix of moody type pictures that are going to have really great texture and color and mood and vibe. And this is a really great starting point. Of course, you're also going to go through and probably do your own. Oh my God, there's a guy hammering like literally below my feet. Of course, you're going to go through and you're going to collect your own images from unique searches specific for your project, but this is a really great jumping off point. Let's say that I have found an image that I am excited to use, and I'm going to go ahead and open it. And then if you right click, you can do open image in new tab. And this way you don't get any of the Pinterest little markings on it. So then you can screenshot it and save it. The next thing I want to show you is how to use Color Picker. So Color Picker is a plugin on Chrome, and the way it works is if you find a color that you really like and you want to use it in your mood board, this is a way for you to get that exact color using a hex code. So I'm going to use this as an example. And let's say that I'm really into this like rust color here on the middle right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to my Chrome Picker plugin tool, and I click on that. And I'm just going to hover over the color that I want to basically grab, and I click on that and it gives me the hex code right here. Now I recommend you copy that and save it to a notepad somewhere, or you can jot it down, but just save it somewhere, okay? I'm going to copy it and escape the color picker, and now that's saved, and when you get into Canva you're going to be able to plug in that exact code so you can get the color, and I'll show you how to do that next. Alright, so now we are in Canva. I took a little break and I think that the construction guys are having their lunch, so hopefully I can squeeze in this last little segment without any loud distractions. Alright, so let's dive in. First of all, this is not going to be a full deep dive tutorial on Canva. This is going to assume that you've played around with it a little bit, and there are lots of tutorials online about how to use Canva, but honestly it's so simple. You really can just dive right in. It's pretty self-explanatory. You don't need to have a lot of tech knowledge, but I'll go over a few things as we fill this out. So I have already provided you with 3 Canva templates that you can use right away, and you can take and tweak them for yourself. I've already gone and sourced a bunch of photos for my mood board, as well as kind of picked my color palette. Now I do want to show you again how we use the color picker tool to customize colors in Canva. So these essentially are shapes, and if you click here you can give it any color that you want using either this color picker tool where you slide around using the spectrum, or you can paste in a hex code. You also have document colors that you can save. Now I do have the Pro version, so down below here you'll see different palettes that I have saved. Unless you pay for Pro, you won't see those. What I want to do here is show you how I took that color from Pinterest and I'm going to put it into Canvas. Click on the shape where you want to paste that color. Click right here and paste in that color, and it's going to show up for you. Alright, now I've already gone and selected my color palette for this project, so I am, just for demonstration purposes, going to fill those out. So there's my color palette, and the next thing I want to show you is how to add the photos in that you have already gone and collected and curated. My recommendation again is that you get a bunch of pictures and you start to play around with them, because you're probably not going to use all of them, but you're going to get to pick your favorite ones. So the way that you would do that is you would go to uploads. So you have all these different trays over here, and each icon has a different set of tools underneath it. So first you would go to uploads and go to upload an image or video, and you would go wherever you saved your images. You can pick more than one and do open and upload them. Now I've already done that, so I'm just going to come back here, but that's how you would do it. And from here it's so simple. All you're going to do is drag and drop. Now, one more thing is it's going to drop the photo automatically into the shape and automatically sort of crop the photo for you. You have 2 options here. One is if you double click on the image block, you will see the full size of the image and you can move it around to capture exactly what you want. The other option is you can click on the frame itself and you'll see these little anchors pop up, and you can adjust them however you want. So that is just another way that you can customize the different blocks. Now you can see that my little title button here has fallen behind this, so I'm going to show you how you would adjust that. There's 2 ways you can do it. One is you can click on the element and do control click. That's with a Mac. I'm not sure what it is with a PC. And then do bring to front. It will give you this little pop-up menu and just say bring to front. Another way you can do that is to click on it and go to position up here and say bring to front. Okay. So this is really starting to come together for me. I like the direction that it's going. You can see that the images and the color palettes are in sync and they really go together. A couple more things I want to point out to you. One is here you can change what you call the project. You can either do your logo here, you can do the client's name, or you can give the project a name such as like Mountain Modern. So let's just call this Urban Sophistication. So fancy, so bougie. Now I'm going to highlight the words and I'm going to change the font. So when you highlight it, you're going to see this pop up, and these are all the different tools that you have to change the font. So I'm going to change this to a different font, and obviously I don't want this to wrap around, so there are two ways you can fix this. One, you can grab onto this anchor point and you can pull it out and then center it. So close. There we go. Okay, so quick note, these little pink dotted lines are your grid lines or your guidelines, and they're helping me center things and align things on the board. So right now, this is telling me that my letters are perfectly centered with the shape underneath. So that's exactly where I want that. But the font is still just a little too big for this space, so I am going to drop that down and try maybe 15. And will it work on 16? That works. Okay. Next, you can drop in your logo here, doing the same thing that you did with your photos. Just go to upload and then delete this and drag and drop it. You can customize your client's name and address here if you'd like. One more last little design element that I think adds a really important touch that tells your client, man, she's listening to me, or man, he's really understanding what I want, is to add some language and some words along with your imagery and your colors to help really round out the concept design. And so I like to do that on top of these color blocks. Start by selecting all of the font, and I'm going to change it to my custom font, and I'm going to drop this down to maybe 10. Yeah, let's keep it at 12. We might have to adjust it. But here is where I'll add the words. Two really, really important things to note here. Use your client's words. You have talked to them, you've interviewed them, you've been through the house, you've taken notes, you have written these words down, right? Yes, you have. It's so important that you repeat the client's words back to them so they know that you're listening, you're in their hearts and minds. And so this is one way to do it. So if they've said sophisticated, warm, casual, make sure that you include them here. Certainly if you want to add a few of your own, that's great, but make sure you include some of your client's words. Number two, really important, is to make sure that the vibe of the word matches the color that you're laying it on top of. For example, if my client used the word bright, they really want a bright, fresh, airy home, I probably wouldn't use that word on top of this rust color, which is definitely a warmer color. I would probably put that over this sort of lighter color. To the contrary, if your client said they really want a warm space, I would probably put that paired with this warmer, rich, kind of muddy rust color. So let's just put together some words here real quick, and then I think we're done. Now, a couple of problems that I see with this that you want to make sure before you wrap things up, you've checked all of these. In typing these, some of them are no longer centered on the square. So you just want to go grab them, use those guidelines to make sure that everything is centered. That is one way to do it. Another way to do it is to click both elements, both the text and the shape. Come over here to position. This is one of your best tools, is the position tool, and you want to click middle and center. This is grayed out because I've already used those guidelines to center it if it wasn't perfectly centered, one of those would be black. So you can also click and drag, position, those look good. Position, oop, that's not quite centered in the middle. This one is clearly not centered in the middle. Oops, and group, position, middle, and position, get that in the middle. Okay, that is looking good. You can grab all of them too, and you can update the size if you feel like you need to. And honestly, even if one is just slightly smaller, I think that's okay. And the last thing you want to check for is that there's contrast between your words and the color that is behind it. Obviously, on this middle one, you can't really see the words because there's no contrast. So in this case, I also think it's okay to go ahead and give that a lighter font color, and it'll start to pop and look really pulled together. Okay, this is looking good. So at this point, all you're going to do is add your logo, update the client's name and address, and you're ready to go. And time to download. Come over here to download, file type. For me, we do PDF print. Oops, PDF print. There we go. I'm not going to do all of those. I am just going to do this page that we've worked on. Preparing your design. Here we go. We're almost wrapped up here. Done. Okay, so there you go. You have got your client's mood board all set to go. Okay, I hope this video has helped you figure out how to make digital mood boards with Canva so that you can start to present your preliminary ideas in a very clear and concise way. I hope that this video format is useful for you. If you like it, please let me know, and let me know what other kinds of topics you would be interested in learning about as far as it relates to running your interior design business. You can email me at kate@designersoasis.com, or you can find me on Instagram at designersoasis. All right, bye for now.